Tonight on The Cycle, a helicopter attack in Venezuela raises a lot of questions. A YouTube stunt gone wrong leads to manslaughter charges, and a step toward justice for 96 people who died nearly 30 years ago. All that and more coming to you live right now. Hey, welcome to The Cycle. I'm Aaliyah Jasmine.
And I'm Jacques Slade. Here's today's biggest headlines in case you missed it.
Okay, if at first you don't succeed, try again to take healthcare away from 22 million people.
Right. Mitch McConnell hopes to have a revised healthcare bill ready as soon as tomorrow. That means it could have a CBO score and be ready for a vote by next week.
If only he wanted to keep human beings alive as badly as he wants to keep this bill alive.
Oh, that would be so nice. All right. Next up, Paul Manafort, Trump's one-time campaign manager, has officially registered as a foreign agent.
How has he not already done this, though? Okay, let me jog your memory. A pro-Putin group in the Ukraine paid Manafort's firm over $17 million between 2012 and 2014. But the thing is, Manafort should have disclosed this relationship and registered as a foreign agent back in 2012, not 5 years later.
Yeah, sorry to bust your bubble, Paul, or should we say borscht your bubble for those that like borscht? Anyone?
Was that Russian?
Anyone? Yeah, anyone in the room like borscht? No? Okay.
What's a borscht?
Right. Okay, no, that's okay, moving on.
Do you know what a borscht is?
I do. No, move on. That's good. No, it's fine. I get it.
Okay, moving on. Sarah Palin is suing the New York Times for defamation.
Recent Times editorials seem to blame the ex-vice presidential candidate for the 2011 shooting of Congresswoman Gabby Giffords because Palin ad showed Giffords' image in a gun crosshair, but Palin's lawyers say that the ad simply showed Giffords' district, not Gifford herself, in the crosshairs, so they're saying that's a big difference.
Well, with the way libel laws work, though, she has pretty much no chance of winning the case. She's getting attention, however, which, in Sarah Palin's world, is the biggest victory there is.
True. Next, Time magazine has requested that Donald Trump take down a fake issue of their publication featuring Trump that's displayed in 5 of the president's golf clubs.
This is just an unbelievable story. The magazine's creative director, Evan went so far as to publish, even went, his name is not Evan Went. The director even went so far to publish a guide on how to spot a fake cover of Time. He says one of the dead giveaways on Trump's cover is the overabundance of exclamation points.
So while the president definitely has many issues, this edition of Time is not one of them.
Finally, the Department of Homeland Security announced revamped airline security measures.
They think these new measures, some of which they're keeping secret, will help avoid an all-out laptop ban.
To keep passengers away from danger, there will be more K-9 units, new enhanced screenings, and fewer United employees.
That's always good. And that's in case you missed it.
Okay, and for the stories not getting the attention they deserve, this is below the fold.
The EPA announced that they will roll back regulations aimed to prevent pollution in wetlands and rivers.
President Trump paved the way for this with an executive order back in February. The administration believes that these regulations hurt fuel companies and landowners.
So if you do go golfing at Mar-a-Lago, just know that the water hazard might actually be hazardous water.
Next up, the conflict between Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his opponents continued to escalate yesterday when attackers in a stolen police helicopter dropped 4 grenades while flying above the country's Supreme Court.
This is an amazing story. Authorities recovered the chopper, but the suspected pilot is still on the run. He's a police officer in the government, which has caused speculation that this was all staged by Maduro. And also, fun fact, the pilot also starred in a self-produced crime thriller movie called Suspended Death.
He's believed to be hiding out in the woods, hoping he doesn't get discovered, unless it's by a Hollywood agent, I guess.
I just want to see Suspended Death, too. All right, moving on. 6 people in England will face charges, including manslaughter, for their part in a nearly 30-year-old stadium disaster.
96 people were crushed to death in 1989 after police allowed too many fans to enter Hillsborough Stadium during a soccer match. The charges provide vindication for friends and family of the victims who have been asking that someone be held responsible for the disaster for 3 decades.
And in another story of a tragedy that could have been avoided, a 19-year-old Minnesota woman faces manslaughter charges because of a YouTube stunt that turned deadly.
Yeah, according to attorneys, she shot an extremely powerful handgun at her boyfriend, who was holding an encyclopedia up to his chest. He apparently wanted to see if the book would stop the bullet. Sadly, it did not.
And finally, a man rammed his car into a one-day-old monument depicting the Ten Commandments outside the Arkansas state capitol.
The man who recorded the destruction and shared the video on Facebook pulled the same stunt at the Oklahoma state capitol in 2014 because he said he heard the voice of Satan telling him to do it.
Wow, I thought I'd broken a few commandments in my life, but this guy's literally breaking the commandments.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Literally. That's below the fold.
And now for a story you might have thought was TLDR or too long, didn't read.
Okay, so today we are focusing on this story from ProPublica titled, Facebook's Secret Censorship Rules Protect White Men from Hate Speech but Not Black Children.
It's a pretty incendiary headline, but if that's all you saw, you're missing the core of the story. You see, reporters at ProPublica got their hands on an internal Facebook document that are used to train content monitors who judge whether or not any given post constitutes hate speech and should be deleted.
Yeah, so Facebook is trying to tackle an impossible problem. As of this week, they have 2 billion users. They're trying to create a system to police the intent of posts by every single one of them. To do that, you need to create hard rules.
Here's one example of a quiz question from the documents. Which of the groups is protected? Female drivers, black children, or white men? Well, the answer is white men.
Okay, wait, but we have to go back to that. Can we just go back to that image really quick? Look at the photo that they used for white people.
Wow. Wait, that's the Backstreet Boys.
I guess they really do represent
everybody. I love that song. I love that song.
Ridiculous.
Anyway, sorry. That's what everybody got your back. Okay. I'm sorry. Facebook's convoluted reasoning for this.
This is the best part of the show.
I know. Facebook's convoluted reasoning for this is that their policies call for the removal of posts that attack protected categories. White men are a protected category. Black children, they're actually in a different sort of category and are therefore not protected.
Okay, if you don't understand this, you're not alone. I don't really get it either. And this sort of logic only makes sense when you use the type of thinking that a massively complex algorithm understands. Right. And Facebook freely admits that their policies come up short in some situations.
Another example, you're allowed to refer to migrants as filthy, but not filth, because everyone knows nouns are obviously more hurtful.
Obviously. The story also spells out how Facebook's policies have disproportionately affected people who speak out against oppressive governments. So activists and journalists in places like Palestine, Ukraine, and India find that their posts get deleted when they speak out.
Look, we're sympathetic to Facebook's struggle here. Trying to fit the entirety of human expression into a series of content policies is crazy and often kind of embarrassing.
True, and that's TLDR.
All right, let's talk about drug tests. Wait. Guys in the room, everybody calm down.
What?
Not talking, everybody in the room's like, what? We're not talking about you guys specifically, but they might be in the future if you ever find yourself in need of government assistance. This is The Left, the Right, and the Truth.
Okay, it's a policy that's been championed by the right for some time. People should be required to pass a drug test before they are able to benefit from welfare programs.
But a rule set during the Obama administration blocked drug testing of aid recipients in nearly all circumstances. In March, Congress voted to repeal that rule.
Yeah, and as many as 14 states mandate drug tests for public benefit programs. To take it a step further, earlier this month, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker proposed that drug tests should also be required to receive Medicaid.
So, is the right's position just anti-poor? Well, that might be true in some cases, but there is a logical argument.
Yeah, given that social resources are limited, shouldn't we make sure that help goes to people who are legitimately struggling because of their circumstances, not because they spent their money on drugs?
Plus, if staying clean is a stipulation for receiving federal assistance, that will encourage people to get off drugs.
Yeah, okay, now the left doesn't see it that way. They say that drug tests increase the already huge stigma that welfare programs carry. If policies cause people to feel too ashamed to apply for benefits, they won't have access to the help that they need.
They also say that the law draws an unfair connection between drug use and poverty.
Yeah, so what's the truth? Well, even if you throw out the very legitimate concerns that both sides have, the available data shows that drug tests don't actually accomplish what they're intended to do.
Yeah, a 2015 study of 7 states found that they spent more than $1 million on tests and less than 1% tested positive. That's way below the national average for drug users, which is quoted about 10%.
Yeah, in other words, these drug tests are supposed to be preventing federal dollars from getting wasted, and they're doing the opposite. does it?
Yeah, they're spending $1 million. Anyway, and these tests don't help people get off drugs either. Studies show that people are way less likely to disclose that they use drugs when they know that their benefits are at stake.
Yeah, that means that a lot of people who would get help for addiction don't get it because they're worried they'll go hungry if they disclose their drug use.
Yeah, so drug tests don't really save any money, and they don't really help anyone get clean.
So that's the left, the right, and the truth.
All right, finally tonight, let's talk about a big-time transaction that took place in the NBA today. No, we're not talking about the Chris Paul trade. We happen to have some Clipper fans on our team, and they said we're not allowed to talk about it, and they're not ready to talk about it yet.
Yeah, it's still real for them.
Yeah, it's still very real for them.
Band-Aid has just been pulled off. Earlier today, the Portland Trail Blazers traded guard Tim Quarterman to the Houston Rockets. So what did they get in return? Cash considerations.
Now, just because the Trailblazers only got money in the deal, it doesn't mean they didn't roll out the red carpet.
Yeah, they shared a GIF welcoming cash considerations to the franchise and even held a press conference with their newest team member who called the trade a, quote, blessing and told Rip City that he's ready to make an immediate impact.
That's amazing.
Like
their post even inspired Basketball Reference to create a player page for cash considerations, who they list at 1'2" out of the Denver Mint.
Awesome. Fanatics even debuted a jersey for considerations who wears a number 17.
So we salute you, Trailblazers social media team. We would be happy to trade any member of our team in exchange for the newest member of yours.
Except ours are all Clippers fans, so you probably don't want them.
True.
And that's The Cycle. Thank you for watching.
Like and follow us at The Cycle Live. Good night, guys. That was
go
so
Clippers.
good.
Go Clippers.
Yeah, go Clippers. Make sure to follow us at The Cycle Live on Twitter and Instagram.
And like, share, subscribe to us on YouTube and Facebook, all that good stuff at The Cycle Live.